Watch out for those weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Welcome back to the Final Ghouls of Horror. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Holly.
And I'm Elle.
We're three people who love horror and are coming at it from different perspectives of who we are, as well as very different levels of experience of the genre, which we're always excited to talk about. And this week, we're making a man and carving up some Meat Loaf as we take a look at none other than 1975's The Rocky Horror Picture Show as it celebrates its 50th anniversary.
Wait, what?
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Two young, ordinary, healthy kids.
Oh, Brad, wasn't it wonderful?
Left Denton that late November evening.
We must have taken the wrong fork a few miles back. Didn't we pass a castle back down the road a few miles? Maybe they have a telephone I could use.
On a night out.
Hello.
It was a night out they were going to remember for a very long time.
For fuck's sake, just... You couldn't have told us that earlier.
Yes, I know that we said we were going to do Blair Witch Project at the end of the last episode. Surprise, I changed my mind.
Great.
So, for listeners, we are 100% planning on doing Blair Witch. And then, midway through the, between last episode and this episode, I was looking at our list of movies and I realized Rocky Horror Picture Show wasn't on it. And then I said, why isn't it on it? I need to put it on there. And then I said, why don't we do it for the next episode? And you both were very good about, yes, that's fine. We can go ahead with that.
I mean, I feel like I was very encouraging of it.
Yes. No, I was... I don't remember exactly how I put it. I was like, I'm tempted to do it, even though this is what we said, which legitimately, I was like, that was me meaning what I was saying. Like, I am tempted to do this, but I don't think I'm going to. And then Holly, you were like, yes, do it.
Yeah.
Not in those words, but kind of.
Oh, I mean, at home I was. I could type something different, but yeah, no.
I could sense the vibes. Let's just put it.
I was mentally like poking and nudging you. Do it.
Yep. So, all right. So we're going to do Rocky Horror Picture Show, which again, it is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. Which to me, that just makes me realize that I am almost as old as the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So that just makes me feel older than I already did. But that's 2025 as a rule, so it's fine.
I can help with that with a fun fact.
Oh dear, go ahead.
Statistically, marriages last 13 years. So this film has been around basically longer than most marriages.
Yep, that is legitimate.
Should I be concerned our next anniversary is the 13th year anniversary?
Unlucky for some.
I mean,
all I'm saying.
My immediate response, Elle, was certainly lasted longer than mine.
No.
I say that in complete humor. My ex-wife is my current roommate, and so is her husband. So we get along great. Anyways, let's get back to the episode.
The other horror in the room.
The other horror in the room. So let's get some baseline here. Rocky Horror Picture Show is a stage adaptation. So since we have not had the opportunity to talk musicals, to indulge what I feel like is at least for 67% of this podcast roster, probably a bit of an obsession. The first question I want to ask is, Al, how much of a musical theater nerd are you?
Musical, maybe. Theater, no. Nerd, debatable.
Okay.
It's not been something that's ever been on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like hearing all the people talking about how they're theater kids in high school, it's like that is such a foreign experience. I could not imagine.
Yeah, that is fair.
So then musical theater even further removed from that.
Right. Were you into musicals at all? Like growing up, or
no? It's never. The closest I've gotten to a musical before any of like looking into it for tertiary education like this is that my dad was a huge fan of Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Okay, yeah.
So every now and then he'd watch that. And I've seen the War of the Worlds musical adaptation play with
Liam Neeson.
That's the one. As like projected as a hologram.
Interesting. That's fair though. I feel like we're about to nerd out a whole lot together. How much of a musical theater nerd are you?
Musical theater? What is that? I know not what you speak. Yeah, I was trying to mentally count how many musicals I've been in. At least like 20. I don't know. A lot. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And like I've been in plays too, but I've been in more musicals than plays.
Right.
I don't know, probably closer to 30. Anyway, huge. I was raised on it. My mother was a huge musical theater person. My father is really into theater. He just doesn't want to be on stage, but highly encouraging musical theater household.
Right on. Yeah, I am household not so much. Myself, yeah, I'm a pretty significant musical theater nerd. I think I've said it before, but I was a drama kid in high school. And I mean, everybody thinks this at the time. Not everybody, but most people, I would like to think. But really, our theater department was the shit. It was fantastic. Shout out to the late great Miss Carol Coburn, who was our drama teacher, the head of the drama department. And honestly, I mean, I'm not sure how many people are in drama, like not just taking it as a class, but like actually in your school's drama department, or theater club or drama club, or call it whatever you want, who aren't musical theater nerds, at least to some degree. We did the yearly musical theater thing. The years that I went, we did Fiddler on the Roof, West Side Story, and The Music Man.
I said you did some good ones.
Well, I was going to say, I absolutely love two of those musicals, and The Music Man definitely exists.
I've always wanted to be in The Music Man.
I think you know this about me. I have very strong opinions about certain musicals. And yet Music Man just it doesn't do it for me. I do love Fiddler. I fucking adore West Side Story.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, over the years I've stayed in love with generally stayed in love with musicals. I am behind the times, I will admit. I hear the names of a lot of modern musicals, and I find out about them like 10 years after the fact or something like that. Or I vaguely heard of them and then I don't really super dive into them until later.
I stay pretty current. I follow Broadway pretty closely.
That's my thing is I don't follow Broadway so much, partially because so much of my attention gets focused on the screen. There's only so much time in the day for me to hyper fixate on one thing.
If you don't stay current, that means, Jeremy, you missed the Smash musical that came out last year.
No.
Done after the TV show. You didn't miss that one.
I heard about the Smash musical.
Oh,
I
it
laughed
sucked.
for about a solid minute at the notion that they would make the show I hate watched, unlike any other, into a stage musical.
I did enjoy, and I understand like why you don't like it. I did enjoy the show because I really related to one of the characters. So when they completely dissected her, tore her apart, and turned her into a bratty mean girl in the musical, I got really angry.
That's fair. That's fair. In terms of, like I said, I am very opinionated on musicals. For the record, my top 5 in order, top to bottom, are Rent, Jesus Christ Superstar, Hair, Dreamgirls, and West Side Story.
I wasn't prepared for this, or I would have had a top 5 list.
It's all good. On the flip side, and this is where I get controversial. I think that outside of Jesus Christ Superstar, Andrew Lloyd Webber is extremely overrated. We've had this conversation before.
There's not a lot of love for Andrew Lloyd Webber in my house. Yeah. We do like Cats, not the Nightmare movie, but the musical. Because Austin and I both saw it when we were kids. I was in it. My gosh, you want to get a good workout, be in Cats.
Oh, for sure. I like some of the songs in Cats. I just don't like the book.
There's not a plot. There's not. I was in it and we were trying to figure out the plot. It's non-existent.
Right.
But
I want to see if I can list 5 musicals, even counting the ones that I've just heard, to see if my memory retained any.
Go for it.
I'm not going to count this because that's cheating because I have it literally right in front of me. So,
right.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Mm-hmm.
Cats.
Okay.
Annie.
Yep.
Oh, it's drawing thin. Phantom of the Opera.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
It's perfectly fine.
And HMS Pinafore.
Okay.
That's
5.
In my head.
You got there. Yeah.
Yep.
And that is while I've been trying to listen to you talk about them, and you listed more than 5. And I'm like,
that is fair.
Yeah. If you want to cheat, Jeremy listed a bunch.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember them as well.
I will also say, and these are a couple other hot takes, Les Mis is objectively a good musical. It leaves me completely cold.
It's one of my favorites. So
it is good. I cannot deny its quality. I don't emotionally connect to it at all.
He's a good promo.
That is true. Miz is a really good promo. It's a wrestling reference, Holly.
Okay. I don't know wrestling.
Was almost making a joke, and then I remembered, no, it actually is a musical.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, no, just wrestling joke. No,
yep.
That's actually a thing as well.
No, it's a good musical. I love Les Mis.
It's very good.
I feel like I probably should mention in our talk of musicals that Austin and I met during a musical and started dating.
Really?
Yes. We had both just graduated high school, and our local community theater was doing Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
And it was the second time I was in it because I had just done it in high school, and I auditioned with like a group of people. Most of us made it in. Like 200 people auditioned for that.
Right.
Because it was Beauty and the Beast. Because when
Right.
I walk in and my number is like 160, I'm like, well, crap. This isn't good. But I was one of the few girls who got up there and didn't audition for the part of Belle.
Okay.
Every girl. Some of them dressed
That
as Belle. One of them was carrying books. Like,
it's
I got,
Belle. Of course you're gonna. Of course, just about everybody is gonna audition for it.
I got up there and I was like, okay, I'm auditioning for one of the silly girls, which are the girls that hang out around Gaston, and everyone's like, what's that?
Right.
Now, everyone always asks if I was Belle and he was the Beast. No. He was Gaston, and I was the Salt Shaker, the untold story.
Right. Nice.
But it was probably one of the best shows I've ever been in. The cast really, that was a great summer. The cast became like family. We constantly hung out together. I met Austin. I got to seek revenge on one of my enemies in the show. It was fantastic. That's a much longer story I'm not going to get into right now.
Fair.
But it was fun.
Yeah, that's kind of the. I mean, obviously, not every musical or stage production ends up being like that.
No.
But that's also kind of like the quintessential, if nothing else, the quintessential high school. I almost hate saying high school musical because then I think of the TV movies, but
that's
it's almost like the quintessential high school musical experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
it
everybody
very
becomes.
Much, it was because like the night that Austin like asked me out before he asked me out, I stayed in the bathroom for a long time because I was like freaking out because I didn't know if he was going to ask me out, and like all of these girls would go into the bathroom and then not come back out because like they came in and we were all like sitting on the floor in a circle talking about it. It was very high school.
I was gonna say that fully sounds like a scene out of like a mid-2000s high school set rom-com.
Well, this was 2008.
So yeah, legit. So yeah, now that we have talked out musicals a little bit, let's talk specifically about our Rocky Horror Picture Show experiences. Elle, what is your history with this film? Have you ever done one of the midnight screenings? I'll be honest, I don't even know if that's something that is a more common phenomenon down
under
there. Yeah, down under. That should be what I said, but instead I said down there.
I mean, if you're going to do it for any episode.
That's true.
I was about to ask, it's like, oh, can I come back into the episode now? But nope.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. So I have now seen this maybe 1 3/4 of a time.
Okay.
I got started on a episode, like on a watching of it, when I was about 8, because I'd heard Time Warp and asked where it was from.
Right.
And I can't remember who it was, but someone must have been a smartass, because they're like, oh, you like Doctor Who? This is about time travel and aliens.
Oh.
So in my head, the story of Rocky Horror was there were aliens that had gotten trapped on Earth and back in time and needed the Doctor to come and help them.
I mean, take out that last sentence and we are kind of accurate. There is mention of through time and space, so I guess.
I got through watching the Time Warp part, and then I was like, well, where's the TARDIS? You know, which Doctor is it going to be? I don't know. Maybe it's a new one. and it didn't happen, so I got bored and turned it off.
Fair.
Then I tried watching it again in high school because I was a little bit more familiar that it was not like specifically good, like not that that's how it was pitched to me, but that it was important.
Right.
And it started getting very uncomfortable to watch, so I was like, nope, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Because it turns out there's a little bit of explicit content in there somewhere.
A little bit.
Just a smidge.
Just tiny.
Just a hair.
Yeah, so in my mind, the Rocky Horror Picture Show was about a 10-minute long Doctor Who spin-off. And it literally wasn't until 2 or 3 hours ago where that was finally dispelled. Like,
right.
Properly. So obviously, somewhere along the line, it's like, well, that was a stupid thing. Who'd ever think of that? And you logically know it, but because you haven't experienced it, you can't confirm.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, now I can finally confirm this does not relate to Doctor Who in any way, shape, or form that I am familiar with.
This is correct. Although I'm going to be honest, I would not have been shocked if, like, in the middle of this movie, Tom Baker just shows up, looks around, and is like, nope, eats a jelly baby and TARDIS is away.
Just as a background gag, it's like, comes in, looks around, it's like, oh, wait, no, I'm in the wrong time. Sorry.
I see more Sylvester McCoy in this.
He is one of the best doctors.
I like him. I think he's fine.
And as for midnight releases, they may have done it. I've never been aware of it as a thing. Mm-hmm. Specifically for Rocky Horror, they have done midnight releases for the big name movies in the last 10, 20 years, as far as I know.
But not like midnight, like cult, like screenings.
No, it's only like current releases. Right. It's not like we're going to bring back a classic for a thing.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah, finding out that they were doing it for this was like, oh, I could have gone to that. No, because then I would have been sick and tired and it wouldn't have gone well.
Yeah, fair. Holly, I know that you, based on your excitement for this, are familiar with Rocky Horror. What's your history here, and have you ever done a midnight screening?
I've wanted to. It's still on my mother used to tell me stories about how her theater group in high school would go to the midnight screenings, and she would always dress as magenta because she had the red hair. I still have her old maid outfit hanging in my closet. I don't know what to do with it. I can't fit in it unless you chop me in half, but it's also ridiculously short. So I would love to go at some point, but no, I have seen it performed by our local community theater when Sin and Katie were in it.
Okay.
When was that? That was a while ago. Like, I think Austin and I were, like, engaged a while ago, so.
Mm-hmm. I have to know who they were playing.
Okay, so Katie was ensemble, was Transylvanian. Sin was Eddie.
Yeah, I can see that. I can absolutely see that.
It was a lot of fun. I sat like front row center with a V and lipstick on my head, because if you haven't seen it live before, they put lipstick V on your head.
You're a virgin. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've got that on my head, and I'm like, I'm going to sit front row, and everyone's like, is that a good idea? I'm like, yeah, it's a great idea. Rocky didn't make it to me. He gave people in the front row lap dances. He didn't, the girl next to me, like, he knew, and so he spent a while with her. So he didn't quite get to me. But no, as soon as Sing came out, he like immediately ran to me and like grabbed me and pulled me up and had me like start dancing with him. during
Nice.
Hot Patootie, which
Yep.
was fantastic. But yeah, I first watched it, when was I? High school. Because I'd heard whisperings of it before, and I kept asking my mom, I think as soon as middle school, about it, and she was like, high school, when you're in high school, but not yet. And then I was at a cast party, and they played the Time Warp, and I was like, what is this? This is amazing. And that's when my mom was like, okay, well, I'll watch it together. Like, that's a little weird to like sit there and watch it with your parents.
Right.
Unless your parents are my parents. My dad can quote the entire movie and loves to quote Frankenfurter. And it was fun. He still quotes Frankenfurter every Halloween.
Nice. So yeah, I knew Rocky Horror well before I saw it. Like when I was in high school, again, theater department, Rocky Horror was a fucking thing. Like that was it would play regularly at our work parties or our weekend. We're putting up the sets and doing costumes and everything that you're building for whatever production you're doing. So because of that, I had legitimately memorized the entire soundtrack before I ever saw the movie. I knew every line, all of it, and I'd never seen the movie, never seen any of that kind of stuff. I think I feel like I saw the movie first in college. It was maybe senior year of high school. I had to think about this. I'm not sure. I know there are two things I'm absolutely certain of. It was somewhere during the 18 to 19 year range. And I came out when I was 19. And in this case, correlation is causation. I mean, for a queer theater kid who's probably on the verge of coming out anyways, you see this movie and you're like, you realize some things. And I think that this was really kind of my first exposure to anything that queer. So yeah, needless to say, Rocky Horror was a deeply, deeply influential and formative movie for me. I have never seen it on the big screen. I am still a virgin as far as that goes. But I have had the audience participation experience because during one of the dorm get-togethers the year I was in college, there was a screen of it on like a big, fairly good sized, like big screen TV, and they did all the audience participation stuff. But I've never been to a screening really for a bunch of reasons. I think mainly until like, I'm gonna be honest, I think like probably 8-9 years, like around when I was 40, up until that point, I was very, very, very hung up on the notion of being, for lack of a better way to put it, a quote unquote acceptable gay. And thus, as much as I loved watching it and the musical, going out to see it at like the Clinton Street Theater is where it screens here in Portland. And I think it still does it. I know during October, it screams multiple times a week. It screens at least once a week outside of that, and has done so for the entire length of the film's existence. But the idea of going down there just really kind of scared me a little bit. And now, since I stopped caring about that, I'm always busy. I never have the chance, but I will do it someday. Hopefully. When I have time. So yeah, I have a lot of experience with this. Is the upshot of this. But before we start getting deeper into the film itself, let's talk about its production history a bit. Elle, take us away.
Rocky Horror Picture Show is directed by Jim Sharman and co-written by Sharman and Richard O'Brien. It stars Tim Curry, Susan Sarandon, Barry Bostwick, O'Brien, Patricia Quinn, Little Nell, Peter Hinwood, and Meat Loaf. It's based on the stage musical The Rocky Horror Show that O'Brien, a then unemployed actor, created in order to keep himself busy one winter. O'Brien had grown up a fan of sci-fi and B-movie horrors and wanted to combine the kitschy, unintentional humour of B-horror with Steve Reeves' muscle films and 1950s rock and roll, all set against the backdrop of 1970s British glam rock. The stage musical, also directed by Sharman, premiered in the West End of London in June in 1973 and became a hit, eventually making its way to Broadway in 1975. Before that happened, though, producer Lou Adler saw the West End production and immediately bought the theatrical rights. Adler then staged a production in Los Angeles at the Roxy Theatre and was able to secure funding for the film. Filming ran from October to December of 1974. It was shot at Bray Studios in London, famous for being the home of Hammer horror films, and at Oakley Court, a 19th century chateau, also known for being in a number of Hammer movies, such as The Brides of Dracula and Plague of the Zombies. Jarman used most of the London stage productions cast, including Curry, O'Brien, Quinn, and Little Nell. 20th Century Fox insisted on casting Americans for Brad and Janet, with Sarandon and Bostwick filling those roles. Rocky Horror marks Curry's on-screen debut, while the rest of the cast had previously appeared in small roles here and there. The autumn shooting schedule led to some sketchy filming conditions. Sarandon caught pneumonia from the rain scene, and Curry has said that he hated filming the pool scene because of how cold it was. Rocky Horror opened in the US on September 29, 1975. It was panned by critics and quickly pulled from theaters. Then an interesting thing happened. Fox executive Tim Deegan noticed that two movies, Pink Flamingos and Reefer Madness, were making money in doing midnight showings. He convinced distributors to give Rocky Horror midnight screenings, and it became a cult phenomenon. Spurred on by audience participation and fans acting out the scenes as they run, the film has gone on to be the longest-running release in film history. It is estimated to have grossed around $166 million against its $1.6 million budget. The film is now considered to be by one of the greatest film musicals of all time, and was selected for preservation in the Library of Congress in 2005. Some fun facts about the film. The lips in the opening number are Patricia Quinn's, with Richard O'Brien singing the song Science Fiction / Double Feature. Time Warp was originally only added to make the play longer. None of the cast outside of Tim Curry knew that Eddie's corpse would be under the table, as Sharman wanted a natural reaction. A pseudo-sequel, Shock Treatment, was released in 1984 and follows Brad and Janet, played by Jessica Harper and Cliff DeYoung. O'Brien also wrote a script called Revenge of the Old Queen, focusing on Frank's mother, and features Janet. Brad, unfortunately, is dead in the film, having fallen from a trapeze after becoming a bottomless go-go dancer.
Honestly, that is the fate Brad deserves. But yeah, so before we get into the plot synopsis, a little bit of a content warning here. There is sexual assault in this film. There are some outdated terms for gender nonconformity. There is one scene, just mentioned, of a vaguely gory dead body, and there is so much horniness in this movie. So yeah, let's talk about what this film is about. And I am going to, usually we do a little peek behind the microphone screen. We will do the plot synopsis ourselves based on, I think, at least for me, I get help from like Wikipedia or somewhere like that to fill in details I might forget. This one, I'm just literally going to read the 1970 press kits plot synopsis because it was too good not to. And also, if 20th Century Fox is going to do the work for me, I'm going to let them. So, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is an outrageous assemblage of the most stereotyped science fiction movies, Marvel Comics, Frankie Avalon / Annette Funicello outings, and rock and roll of every vintage. Running through the story is the sexual confusion of two middle American Ike age kids confronted by the complication of the decadent morality of the 70s, represented in the person of the mad Dr. Frankenfurter, a transvestite from the planet Transsexual in the galaxy of Transylvania. On the way to visit an old college professor, the two clean-cut kids, Brad Majors, Barry Bostwick, and his fiancée Janet Weiss, Susan Sarandon, run into tire trouble and seek help at the side of a light down the road. It's coming from the Frankenstein place, where Dr. Frankenfurter, Tim Curry, is in the midst of one of his maniacal experiences. He's created the perfect man, a rippling piece of beefcake christened Rocky Horror, Peter Winwood, and intends to put him to good use, his own, in his kinky household retinue, presided over by a hunchback henchman named Riff Raff, Richard O'Brien, and his incestuous sister Magenta, Patricia Quinn, and assisted by a tap-dancing groupie in residence, Columbia, Little Nell. 20th Century Fox, do you know what periods are? Because that was almost one sentence. Agape in this world of science fiction and fantasy, Brad and Janet don't know what to expect when the disastrous result of the previous experience, an oafish biker named Eddie, Meat Loaf, plows through the laboratory wall, wailing on a saxophone. Frank puts a permanent end to this musical interruption without thinking twice until the old professor that Brad and Janet had set out to visit, Dr. Scott, Jonathan Adams, turns up at the castle in search of his missing nephew, the juvenile delinquent Eddie. He knows that Frankenfurter is an alien, a spy from another galaxy, and sets out to turn him in. But Frank moves too fast, seducing first Janet, then Brad into his lascivious clutches. Overwhelmed by a newfound libido, Janet hotly attacks the stud Rocky Horror while Brad is under the covers with Frank. Before Dr. Scott can bring justice and morality into this topsy-turvy Transylvanian orgy, Frankenfurter has turned his captives into stone in preparation for a new experiment, an all-drag review, when Riff Raff and Magenta reappear in Transylvanian space togs to wrest control of the mission from Frankenfurter, whose lifestyle is too extreme even for his fellow space travelers. When his lavish, histrionic claims of chauvinism fail to soften up Riff Raff and Magenta, Frankenfurter tries to escape only to be gunned down by their powerful ray guns. Rocky rushes to save his creator, but he too is blasted to outer space by the militants. Brad, Janet, and Dr. Scott are left in a fog, incapable of readjusting to the normalcy of the life they've left behind in Denton, now that they've tasted the forbidden fruits of the time warp. The end.
Wow.
I'm gonna be honest, when I get screeners for stuff, I get a lot of press notes a lot of time. I wish they would I understand why they don't, but I wish they would just spell out the synopsis because it would be easier for me when I'm ready to write the review than to sit there and try to refer to notes that I've written in the dark. And I wish they were as what the fuck as this plot synopsis. Because it's all accurate. I'm not sure about the Marvel Comics influence, but I also feel like it does not prepare you for what you're about to see, which is weird because it prepares you for a lot. So yeah, let's dive into the film itself. And I feel like we need to start with the most obvious entry point here for a lot of people, which is the musical. Obviously, this is a musical first and foremost. Having now finally fully watched it, what do you think about the music in this? Like, is it necessarily like your style? Is it particularly? Is it a good entry point for you? Is it?
Having now like watched it and heard all the songs,
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes sense that Time Warp is basically the only one that gets mentioned.
Okay.
Because they're not really that memorable outside of that. And maybe that's just that bias of having heard it already and then coming into it. But
that could be.
They don't really stand out. Like,
I'm going to fight you on that one, Al. But continue.
They break the rules of music in a lot of cases.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if that's to their benefit to do that.
Okay.
So, I mean, as I said, maybe that's just because I haven't heard them all before this, but the songs don't particularly stand out. You would expect a leitmotif to be carried through maintaining a tempo or like tone. They're a little bit all over the shop, and is that a musical thing? I don't know. I haven't basically seen any musicals.
Right. I mean, it's not necessarily a musical thing. It's definitely a Rocky Horror thing. It is because, again, this is an intentional send-up homage to kind of the mix between like 50s rock and roll and 70s glam rock. So you are going to have, now this is something that also does happen in musicals. You will have your big high energy numbers. You will have your slower ballads. So there isn't necessarily going to be one tone all the way through.
I mean, more like within the song itself, not like the entire movie.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, 100%. That is, I mean, we will get into this a little bit more when we get into the characters, but like that is a pretty, I would say, common thing in the rock musical, particularly. There are a number of ones I could give as examples, but just like I think JC Superstar is actually a really good example of that. That has a lot of songs that kind of do that same thing. But it is definitely, if you're not familiar with musicals and you're not familiar with Rocky Horror, it could be off-putting. I could absolutely see that. Because musical songs are their own thing.
And then in terms of like song preference, it was that Hot Patootie is my favorite.
Yep.
And the opening and closing number, the science fiction thing, I think is the least, because it's telling the story more than it needs to, and not enough energy that a song needs to be, in my mind.
Okay. Fair enough.
Jeremy, you look like you're in physical pain.
I can hear Holly over there just like cringing inside out, trying not to punch me.
I'm waiting. It's fine. It's fine.
All right. Holly,
Yeah. Yeah, my turn.
what do you think about the music in this?
Amazing, iconic. Like, there are a few numbers that I find kind of slow and stuff in terms
Right.
of the show that slow it down a bit. But I don't think any of it is bad at all. And most of it is very memorable. There is, I'll get to it in a minute. There's one number I always forget that it's in there. So that'll probably fall under my least favorite.
I have a feeling we might be thinking of the same one, but we'll see.
I am trying to pick just one on my favorite. It's very difficult. And, you know, the first one I go to is the late night double feature picture show.
Right.
L. So, which is also part of the reason I didn't mention this before. Rocky Horror is one of the musicals I really want to be in. They did it at my college the year before I went there.
Oh.
So I missed it by like that much. But no, I really would like to be Magenta one day. Shawnee and I have talked about it. We want to play Magenta and Riff Raff one day.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But yes, I swear half the reason I want to play Magenta is to be able to sing the late night picture show. So
yes, and that for clarity, well, in the musical, Richard O'Brien sings it, not Patricia Quinn. In the Rocky Horror Show, the stage musical, it's always Magenta dressed up as an usherette.
Yes. Yeah, and they did that in the musical, the live one that I saw.
Right.
She was like, she had the, whatever it is, like the old-fashioned basket in front of her of like candy. And yeah, it's really hard to pick because I also love Hot Patootie because it's Meat Loaf and it's amazing. I love, and it always gets stuck in my head, there's a light over at the Frankenstein place.
Okay.
That one just gets stuck in my head a lot. I think it's just catchy. And I mean, Time Warp is great. It's iconic. But I think I'm going to go with double feature picture show.
Fair.
Favorite.
I think, I'm going to preface this by saying, I think the word iconic gets overused, including by me.
Okay.
I use it too much. But, that being said, I don't think there are many films that embody the term iconic better than this one. And the music, 100%. I'm with you, Ollie. I love just about every song in this. I think Time Warp is perfect in how catchy and simple it is.
I didn't mention my least favorite.
That's true. Go ahead.
I was trying to remember what it was called. Once in a While.
Once in a While.
It's the one that Brad sings.
Oh, it's the one that's cut from the movie.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of it from the musical. I apologize.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that is fair.
It's cut from the movie.
Yep.
So here I was thinking, geez, maybe I was like a bit harsh on how like unforgettable or forgettable these songs are. It's like, no, it's just wasn't even in the movie. Fair.
It wasn't even in the movie.
Again,
correct.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Here's the thing. Here's why that's confusing. They filmed it. You can find the scene out there. It's actually, I picked up the 50th anniversary edition on digital for this, for us. And it has the deleted scene on, the deleted sequence on.
Yeah, I've seen the deleted scene, and I think my memory just put it in the movie.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I get why you would say that, and I agree. It is. Listen, there is a good reason why that song is cut. It's the least interesting song in the movie.
It was also scarring for me during the live musical.
Oh, really?
The guy playing Brad was not wearing a cup, and their underwear was see-through, and
Oh,
there was
dear.
a spotlight on him at that moment.
Oh, no.
And I was once again in the front row.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew this guy too. I knew a lot of the people that were in it.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. I didn't. Sin said it was worse in the dressing room, though.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's a thing.
One of my dad's lines is like, well, you could tell he's not Jewish.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so like I said, Time Warp is great. I really love the naughtiness of songs like "Make You a Man" and "Touch Me."
Oh my gosh, how did I forget that one?
I'm Going Home is a wonderful, emotionally deep song. It doesn't hurt that Tim Curry is singing the shit out of these.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm constantly going back and forth, or I have been since I was like, okay, let's name our favorite song between either Science Fiction Double Feature or Sweet Transvestite.
How did I not mention I'm sorry. I'm now like, I didn't mention. Oh.
Sweet Transvestite introduces Frank in exactly the way that he needs to be introduced. It is brilliant in what it does. Not only does it instantly introduce Frank as, okay, here's the new focus of the movie, but in a meta perspective, it introduces the world to Tim Curry in a, all right, this person is going to be an important part of your pop culture for the next forever. But I do think I'm going to go with Science Fiction Double Feature as well. And my reasoning here is it's an immediate mood setter. The visual of the lips is really, really smart. And not only that, it's a very smart song because it is an instant education in classic Hollywood B horror.
Mm-hmm.
Before I'd heard this song, I had no idea what Day of the Triffids was. I had never heard of The Day the Earth Stood Still, Forbidden Planet, Anne Francis, Tarantula, Leo G. Carroll, all of these things that the movie talks about. I knew what King Kong was at that point. But that's probably like the only one. And it's such a smart song in that way because it basically tells you up front, these are our influences. And this is what we're going to be paying homage to and what helped us formulate this story. So it's a really smart, really perfectly set song. If I had a least favorite song, and it's still very good, like, for me, this is, oh no, it's only a 4-star song instead of a 4.5 or 5-star song, Over at the Frankenstein Place.
I just find that one so catchy. I don't know. Again, it just gets in my head.
It pales every song, and I think that, to be fair, I think it's by design, because this is our vanilla character song before those characters become interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not as satirical as Damn It, Janet, which is those characters, but in a very viewing them through the lens of, frankly, the 3 characters who are spying on them at that point.
Yes. Even was in the movie, Frankenfurter makes a little appearance.
Oh, all 4 of the Frankenfurter house residents do. Tim Curry, Richard O'Brien, Patricia Quinn,
Oh
and
yeah.
Lil Nell are all in that sequence.
It was so hard for me to tell on I don't know. She looks so different without the makeup.
Yep.
It is so hard to tell that that's her.
Mm-hmm. You really, it's the other three. Well, even Magenta, even Patricia Quinn looks very different.
If you concentrate, I was pausing it on this rewatch. If you concentrate, you can tell around the mouth and the eyes that it's her, but Columbia is just so different with zero makeup, with the plain clothes and the hair, or the wig.
But really, the distinctive ones are Tim Curry and Richard O'Brien.
Oh, yes. You know.
You see those and you're like, oh, look, it's Frank and Riff.
Yeah.
After you've already seen it, because otherwise you're just like, oh, look, they put Tim Curry in a background role. Huh, weird.
I mean, I did catch that. I knew Tim Curry was playing Frankenfurter, so I'm like, okay, so they're doing,
Yep. But yeah, again, I think Over at the Frankenstein Place is a very good song. It's just, it doesn't catch me the way that basically every other song.
That's fair.
In the movie gets me. But yeah, because sort of segueing out of that, as we're talking about the characters, let's move on to the characters, which I think we have a lot to talk about here in terms of the amount of characters. I mean, it's not a massive ensemble, but this is a film where outside of the chorus, every character is significant in some way. There's no bit characters, really. So, Elle, I'm actually really curious on this. Which characters, if any, resonate with you, and which ones don't you jive with?
I didn't mind Riff Raff.
Okay.
The rest of them, nah. I could not get a good read off any of them.
Okay.
Maybe a couple of the other Transylvanians in the party. It's they're just doing their thing. They're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But basically everyone else is just I don't like you for this reason.
Okay, now for clarity, don't like you as a person or don't like you as a character?
First one, then the other.
Huh.
The character was enough to really push against that.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Jeremy, I just want to give you a hug because you look like you're in so much pain.
No, I'm fine. And listen, we'll get into it is. I understand that this is a very particular kind of film, and I will admit I was very curious to see how you're going to react to it, Elle. Fair enough.
Plus, we do know that I have historically bad takes, so
you have. Let's be. I don't think you have bad takes. You have outside of the norm takes, I would say. But I will defend your right to have those takes, even if they render me utterly speechless sometimes. Yeah, okay. Holly.
Yeah?
Which characters do you like and which ones don't you?
I mean, it sort of changed a little bit through the years, because when I first watched it, I was just obsessed, and I mean completely obsessed with the character of Columbia. Right. I wanted to know her full story. I mean, I also I'm a big tap dancer. Love the tap. Love her bit and everything. Just fantastic. Throughout the years, I really like Riff Raff and Magenta, and really interested in the relationship between the two of them.
All the elbow sex.
Very. I love in the theater version, right before it happens, everyone just starts clapping and chanting elbow sex. Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, Tim Curry is Tim Curry.
Right.
He's Frankenfurter. He's amazing. But honestly, the character, and I always have wanted to see more of Eddie. And maybe it's just because I love Meat Loaf so much. And I was just discovering who Meat Loaf was when I first watched this.
Right.
For the first time. And I was like, but does he come in and sing another song? And Mom's like, no, he took an axe to the head. I'm like, but you told me no one truly dies in sci-fi.
Right. Yeah, legit.
It's so hard to single out a character. I'm sorry. They're all so good.
No, I agree with you.
In their own ways. Now, Brad, I don't like. He's important to the plot.
Right.
He gets on my nerves.
Because he's the worst.
Yes. But he is important to the plot.
He's the worst, and that's in a movie that features Dr. Scott and the criminologist. So that's a high bar. No, I agree. I think I appreciate every character in this for what they're doing in the film. Janet and Brad are our vanilla characters. I really love Janet's progression throughout the movie. Brad is inherently less of an interesting character, but I feel for Barry Bostwick playing this role, and he does great. Like, all of the cast knows what they're doing, understands the assignment. There isn't a bad performance in this. But Brad is and you will excuse the expression here, he's playing the straight man role in this exercise.
No, he is.
And Bostwick really knows how to play that. So he has to be the less interesting character. Much like you, I was, when I first started watching, when I first saw it, Columbia is the character I instantly gravitated towards.
Mm-hmm.
She's great. She's a spark plug. She is the emotional core. She is we didn't have this at the time, but she's the Harley Quinn of this movie.
Yes, definitely.
And I mean that in terms of, I would not at all be shocked. I've never heard that this is the case, but I would not remotely be shocked if Columbia was a big influence on Bruce Timm in creating Harley for the animated series. Because they're so similar. Both in terms of being very sassy and high energy, but also having a very deep vulnerability and sensitive side. I think Riff and Magenta are great. They're probably the characters we know the least about.
Mm-hmm.
By design. These are the aliens, and they don't get their emotional opening up song.
I would love a movie just on the two of them.
Maybe that's why I related to Riff Raff. Outcast and doesn't get to be emotional. Huh. Wonder what that's like. Oh, well. Not going to think about that.
I mean, it's like the only thing that we get, like, that feels authentic between the two of them is Riff's absolute outburst at the end. he never liked me. Like, that's the only thing that feels like a true emotional moment from them. And that's fine because that's the characters that they are. That's what they're intended to be. They're supposed to be the inscrutable aliens from transsexual Transylvania. Frank, I mean, again, iconic. Top tier queer villain character. There's no other way to put it. He's charming. He's psychopathic. But you can also feel nuance in that character, particularly once he sort of even before this. You can see the insecurities and some vulnerability there. But once we get to I'm Going Home, we kind of get an emotional opening up of that character. Doesn't mean make Frank any less of a villain, but we do love a sympathetic queer villain. So, and then Eddie, yeah, so I won't mention this when we were talking about doing this. I have to go on a small rant about my love of Meat Loaf. Eddie's a fine character. He's there, he's gone. He hangs over the film, but he's there for a good time, not a long time. But he was one of the characters who hooked me into this movie because of Meat Loaf.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a fan of his since, and this came out when I was 16. I want to say 16. Bat Out of Hell 2. This is the album that has Anything for Love, and Objects in the Rearview Mirror May Appear Closer Than They Are, and Wasted Youth, and just all of the great songs that are on that. And once I fell in love with that song, or that album, I deep dove into Meat Loaf as a teenager. And Bat Out of Hell, Dead Ringer, Bad Attitude, all of his, there was a point that I had physical copies of all of his albums, even the ones that were barely released here in the US. His work with Jim Steinman, I think, is operatic rock at its best. And Bat Out of Hell became a very formative album for me in terms of my appreciation of the drama and theatricality of rock music. Correspondingly, my appreciation of rock operas and rock musicals. So that was a big part of my hook into getting into this movie, besides the fact that I already knew all the songs, and I knew Tim Curry from like a dozen things. And I think Eddie is perhaps one of the most outsized roles for his screen time certainly in musical film history. Also, Dr. Scott and the Criminologist are there.
Yeah.
They exist.
So in the original stage production,
Mm-hmm.
The actor who plays Eddie also plays Dr. Scott.
Okay.
Have you heard Meat Loaf's story on that?
No.
I listened to this long interview with him. Yeah, so originally he wasn't going to do it because he did the stage show.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't sure about it, and then Tim Curry walked in full outfit and everything,
right,
and makeup, and he left the theater. And he just walked out, and Tim Curry chased him down the streets of New York in full outfit, makeup, and everything. And he was like, all right, let's go through it once. And if you're not comfortable, then we won't do it. And he instantly fell in love with it. And he talks about one production because he wanted to play Dr. Scott in the movie. But they wanted to go a different direction since it was the movie.
Right.
In one production, he was already in the fishnets and everything because he had to, in the stage show, you've got to get into that pretty soon when you're in the wheelchair.
Right.
And the blanket that was over him slipped one night. And no, not the blanket. No, his shoe came off. And it was exposed to the audience, like the lower part of his leg and his foot.
Mm-hmm.
And he just went with it. And he made it like part of the character, like, what is happening to me? And the audience was cracking up the entire time. And he said that that was just like, that's what cemented everything for him, was he was able to just have so much fun with it.
I mean, yeah, that is absolutely fair. Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think, look, if we are talking about Rocky Horror Picture Show, we would be incredibly remiss if we didn't talk about how queer this film is, because I think for a lot of people, this, it certainly was for me, and I know that I'm not alone in this. This may have been a lot of people's first experience with seeing queerness on screen. And I think it had a lot of impact in that. I think that, and we'll get into the other aspect of this right after this, but I think that this film did a lot in terms of presenting these kinds of characters. And I mean, the message, as has been stated by, I think, most of the cast and crew, the whole "don't dream it, be it" message is, I mean, it kind of hits if you are of a particular community, I would say. So, Holly, how do you feel about how this film, and how was your experience seeing this? Was this like, and granted, I come from a to put a gentle term on this, I come from a slightly older generation where we didn't have as much of this, and this would have been like the only thing that we get to see. Was this your first experience seeing this kind of queerness on screen?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry.
No, and that is 100% fair.
No, we watched a lot of films that celebrated queerness growing up. So this was sort of just, I guess, not in the norm because it's Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I was used to it.
Okay.
Maybe
fair
not.
Enough.
Again, saying that, I'm like, okay, maybe not used to orgies and pools, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. No, absolutely.
Oh, I mean, this might not be the best example, but my introduction was when I was like 6 and my parents showed me the birdcage.
Yeah, no, fair.
But again, that was like my parents' favorite movie, or one of them. They like a lot of movies. But yeah, so I thought it was great though. I love the representation.
No, absolutely fair. Like I said, that's something that I was kind of interested about because, again, when did Birdcage come out?
90s, I think.
Yeah, 96. Okay, fair. Yeah, the first time that I had seen Rocky Horror Picture Show, this Birdcage hat didn't exist yet.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm
Like,
younger than you are. I grew up in the 90s.
right. But I guess I'm trying to think of, like, in the first perspective, I graduated from high school in 95.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of, like, what queer films we even had at that point. I mean, to be clear, there were absolutely ones. And I have gone back and I have seen them since Priscilla Queen of the Desert was like 97, 98, I want to say. So that wasn't out. Yeah, I don't think that there was really, and if there was, it was stuff like, what is the Kevin Kline movie about the teacher? It's like In or Out or something like that.
I am not familiar.
It was, the point being, gay characters were just kind of starting to be explored.
Mm-hmm.
This was the movie we had, I guess, is my point.
Right.
And I think very specifically, this was, so when I use queer in terms of in terms of Rocky Horror Picture Show, I use that as a deliberate choice as opposed to gay, not just because it is more encompassing, but because Rocky Horror to me is more representative of, I don't think it is a militant movie, but it is a very in your face movie about its nonconformity. And it reminds me a lot of the time of the queer in terms of activism and in terms of pride marches and stuff like that. And sure, pride marches are the parades, they're celebrations, but they are also very much statements of, and particularly were during the time that this movie was coming out, of, we're here, you're not going to erase us, that sort of thing. So I view Rocky Horror in a lot of ways as that. I don't think it's saying anything incredibly political, despite the weird, the very pointed Nixon reference early on. I think it is just making a point of very much that thing that I suggest, like, we're here, we're not going away. This is what we are, deal with it. And if it's not acceptable to you, then fuck off. I think it's very unapologetic in that way. And that was really formative to me. And it also very much has the softer message, too, of, again, the message, it's okay to be what you are, even if it is not acceptable. And again, the don't dream it, be it, I think kind of speaks to itself, really. But that's me. Elle, how do you feel about this movie's representation? Especially this not being something that you were, outside of contextually and culturally, fully familiar with until now.
It definitely has that feeling of aging weirdly because of obviously not keeping up with the times, because it's a movie, it's already one and done.
Right.
But it's also like it kind of represents everything that was the only part that I saw of any of the queer community as bad.
Okay.
Like, the only presentation that you get is either implied incest or just completely outrageously camp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like oh yeah, no, this is just in air quotes heavily, it's an ordinary person who is in the community.
Right.
It's not just, yep, look, that's someone who's non-binary. That's not remarkable. Moving on. Like, there isn't really any of that. It is either you are the super buttoned down, straight-laced, repressed, or you are 300% over the top. There is no in between. So when I was in school, it's like, and this is going to sound like bad, and I know it because this is what we had at the time.
Right.
We didn't have all of the words and titles and names for things.
Absolutely.
So there was either gay, which was bad, lesbian, which was very, very good, but doesn't actually exist outside of movies.
Yeah.
People who went to Thailand, and the normal people. Anything outside of those fixed categories did not exist.
Mm-hmm.
So coming into watching this, and it's sort of in your face about it, and like, I get the message being a positive one at the end. It is that kind of confrontational about it, in that self-reflecting negative, I need to get out of that cycle way of thinking.
Right.
It's like, I'm not a fan of pride parades for my own sake. So it's like, yeah, no, absolutely have it. I don't want to go to it because it will be ostentatious and loud, for lack of a better word. And that is not how I experience any of the culture.
And that is fair.
And I've got absolutely no problem with anyone who does, and that's how they choose. Awesome. But yeah, it's weird having that in the back of your head going, this is wrong because it is too much. There is not any space for people who don't go that far to be.
Yeah, I can see that. And I get it, because I said there was a long time, and I'm not trying to equate where my mindset was to your mindset. But like I said, for a very long time, I was, for me, myself, worried about being the respectable, acceptable type. And there is nothing wrong. I want to be clear. There is nothing wrong with not being this is the wrong phrase to use, but in your face about it. There is nothing wrong with being that level of or the again, from a activist point of view, queer versus gay, or gay as a weird catch-all, because there was a point where you just called everything as gay, like you said.
Yeah, they were very, very narrow categories, and they had implicit moralities like assigned to them.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you were in that community or not, that was just how the world at large functioned. And it's very unfortunate that it happened at all, but at least we're kind of getting there bit by bit.
Yep, 100%.
It's like, I am so happy for kids today to come up through school having all this knowledge and all the terms and everything available to them.
Mm-hmm.
I am so
100%.
very, very jealous that they get that and I didn't.
1,000%.
It's like there's kids coming up. It's like, oh yeah, you have like autism spectrum disorder. We can get you a specialized teacher, classroom. Everything's going to be taken care of. Don't worry, we know how to handle it. And then when I was in school struggling, it's like, well, you're not screaming and eating paste, so you're just in the normal class. Deal with it. Work harder.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that kids get to come up through that system today with all that knowledge and acceptance, even, if everyone kind of agrees it needs to be more, which I also agree.
Yep. And it is sadly regressing a bit, but it's still...
It is miles ahead of where it was. It's like, hell, even, like, you think of all the racial stuff. There are people alive today still who was like, oh yeah, no, I knew that happened and I just didn't say anything.
Yep.
Like, what people think of as ancient history isn't actually ancient history. It's very, very
No,
modern.
it's really not. And that's...
And vice versa. Non-binary people have been around for thousands of years. It isn't something new.
Yep. I try so hard not to get annoyed when I see... How am I going to put this? When I see people on social media who are like in their 20s or even 30s, I'll be honest, early 30s, because I'm still a generation plus ahead of them, who are... There are a lot of challenges that exist today that did not exist when I was going through the same kind of stuff. So I'm not minimizing anything, and a lot of times I just need to step back and give myself perspective. But when I see things, people complain about certain elements of stuff, and this will sort of get into our next topic as well. We will get to this in the next topic, I guess I should say. But when we see people complain about certain levels of acceptance, or not even acceptance, complain about certain things in the current era, when I'm like, motherfuckers, I went through the AIDS era. Granted, I was still young at that point. I'm not trying to say that I am a veteran of that period. But like, I know how fucking terrifying that era is. Y'all have it easy. Chill. And then I have to step back again and remember, okay, but there are a lot of things that the current, for lack of a better way to put it, the current baby queers don't or have to deal with, that I never even had to think about. Like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, but it's like I didn't get any sort of exposure to any queer culture until I was like out of university.
Right.
Just because that didn't really exist as a thing outside of specialty stores and the like.
Mm-hmm.
Like very something to be shameful and put away. So by the time I was even thinking about doing any questioning of myself, the world had kind of caught up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I'm also like a late bloomer in all of that stuff, because if I had kind of the knowledge of myself that I did like now than I did then, it would have been a lot harder.
Right.
But as it is, it's just like I was not in that position at the time to even start to think about anything. And then by the time I did, one, I started feeling like it was too late, but it's never too late.
It's never too late. There, go back to our I saw the TV glow. There is still time.
But yeah, it's that the world had caught up to it enough of it that it was just easy to slip into the fold of figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
So to have this as an important piece of media for the culture and have it like presented like this as all of what I got have been internalized and told is wrong is a little bit off-putting.
And that's fair. And again, I think one of the things that is important to remember is Rocky Horror is meant to be challenging. It is meant to be confronting, and that's if it's a confrontation that is uncomfortable, that's okay.
Yeah, because I'm not fully like sex repulsed, asexual, but it's not there. So yes, it was a bit of an uncomfortable watch.
Like I said, this might be one of the horniest films that is not explicitly an adult film of all time. So yeah, that would definitely be a little bit uncomfy, and I get that. It was, in a lot of ways, it was uncomfortable for me for a long period of time, in that, I love this, but I'm not sure what to deal with. It's like I said, never going to the midnight screenings, because one of the key things about the midnight screenings is you generally, if you don't have to, obviously, but if you're going to go, do the full experience, and you're going in costume, right? Well, if you are, for example, a bisexual person who has not yet realized their non-binariness, their gender queerness, and you have grown up in I'm going to say this as nicely as I can, a very straight household. And you are not yet ready to come to terms. You have just barely come to terms with your sexuality. You have not begun to come to terms with your nonconformity. Then you're not going to be doing fucking Frank. You're not going to be doing Columbia or Magenta. And Brad's just boring to do. Unless you're going to show up in your underwear, and I don't have the body confidence to do that. So there was a lot of that stuff that about how confronting it is that kept me from ever taking a chance to go see it live.
And I imagine the weather at this time of year might have also been a bit of a challenge.
I mean, that's true, but again,
how good or bad?
For sure.
It was getting to 45 degrees Celsius today.
Good Lord. I'm trying to do the math.
110,
that's like
120, something like
that.
Yeah,
110, 120. That's a lot.
This isn't even summer yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as I've said, this is why perhaps Halloween isn't as big of a thing, because getting in costumes.
For sure.
So do you just die in summer?
A lot of people do. It's quite sad.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, fair. So yeah, we've talked about the queerness representation. Now there's something, and this is something that I think has become a lot more prevalent in the last, I want to say, and this is part of that generational divide, I think. The last 10 years in particular, there is a sentiment that Rocky Horror is transphobic, particularly transmisogynistic. And I'm going to bring in a quote from a great article. This is from them. I'm going to link this in the show notes for anybody who wants to read it, because I think it is a very good article. It's by Fran Tirado and Samantha Allen, and the article is titled "Yes, Rocky Horror is transphobic. Why do we still like it so much?" And I'm reading this specifically because I think that Allen, when she's talking about both Fran and Samantha are trans femme, she lays out the argument in the most cogent, succinct way that I could find, because I tried to find a full discussions about it on like social media. That was a mistake. On Reddit, that was a super mistake. And I think this lays out the argument in the most straightforward way. And so Alan says specifically, in Rocky Horror, Brad and Janet are our straight couple, and Frankenfurter is the freak in chief overseeing a house full of carnivalesque characters. And Frank's not a great person. He kills someone with an axe almost immediately after being introduced. He has questionable sexual encounters with Brad and Janet that made for uncomfortable viewing for today. And he is essentially penalized for his transgressions with, spoiler alert, death by laser. So the argument that this is a transmisogynistic piece of media is essentially that it co-signs the idea that trans feminine people are inherently predatory and need to be punished. Now, for context on this article, both Tirado and Allen are pretty much defending the film. They are acknowledging its problematic aspects, but they defend the movie for the most part. But it does raise kind of an interesting question about sort of the messaging here. And Elle, you and I have just kind of gone back and forth about this already. But what do you think about this specific argument of the notion, which I think is a little bit different than the queer confrontingness of it?
I think it is transphobic by comparison. Like, it is,
that's fair.
Obviously, it is problematic and whatnot, but for the time that it was made, those were the ideas and the terminology and everything that you had. Like, literally, it's only in, I think, one of the later editions of the DSM where it's like, transsexualism isn't a thing. It is like a gender dysmorphia rather than anything that is like purely fetishistic.
Right.
So, it's like people will go, oh, you can't use those words anymore. It's like, well, they don't. They did back then when that was what they had.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not implying that all trans femme people are predators. It's saying that this one person is a predator and is coincidentally along these lines.
Right.
So I think technically yes, practically no.
That largely falls along my argument with it. Well, I have a complex argument about it. But
I
I
mean,
will say,
the whole
first of
thing
all,
is fairly complex and a bit of a
yes,
minefield to begin with.
absolutely. One thing I think I want to point out, and I absolutely do not want to make this the crux of the argument, because it feels like it doesn't feel like it is. It is arguing a technicality. Frankenfurter is not a transgender woman. It is never suggested that Frank is anything other than a cross-dresser.
Yeah.
Now I understand that means jack of shit, because it's still sending the interpretation can still be there, especially because, as you just said, this is using language that is
Contemporaneous.
Yes, would be we
Definitely
don't use the
outdated and
term
problematic, but of the
Yeah.
time for
we don't
all
use
that
the
means.
term transvestite anymore. If we are referring to somebody like, it is specifically cross-dressing, and it gets real muddy when you say you're from the planet of transsexual in the in the galaxy of Transylvania. We understand that that's a joke, but also transsexual is a term, an outdated term for a transgender person. That muddies it a little bit. I still argue that Frank is never once presented as anything other than a crossdresser.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that, yes, it is problematic.
Yeah.
There's no getting around that.
And I would say it's like people who have that reading, yeah, you are perfectly valid to have that reading. You are coming into it with a more modern mindset than basically anyone who would have been involved in the production.
Absolutely.
So make sure you take that into consideration.
Yep. There is one thing that unfortunately I need to add in order to muddy the waters here a little bit further. Richard O'Brien is problematic around this topic. In the modern day. Now, he has gone back and forth on this topic. He is, to start with, while O'Brien uses he, him, O'Brien has, since the 80s, probably earlier than that, but the 80s is the earliest I could find, has identified as non-binary. And I have seen more recent interviews than his problematic ones, where he specifically mentions people being that clearly people are born transgender, and we are going back on. We seem to be moving back on that, and that is an issue. That said, well, he has always been very supportive of trans people in general. He has made statements, and this was, I want to say, 2016 and 2018, I want to say, are when the interviews were, where he was making an explicit difference between a trans woman and a cis woman, and that a trans woman cannot be a natural woman. That is problematic in the extreme. It also, to me, comes off as somebody who, I'm not defending the statements in any way, but it comes off as somebody who simply doesn't subscribe to gender language in the same way that we do, but should understand that most people don't use the language that he does.
Maybe hasn't kept up with the readings.
Yeah. Also, and it's a RuPaul situation for me. He's a 70, 80, something like that, year-old person who is behind the times. Now, are there people of his age who have gotten with the times and know what this shit is? Yes. Does it excuse him? No. Is it understandable? Yes, a little bit. And I don't think it necessarily, for me, I don't think it impacts the argument of the argument for or against the film. Because I don't think you need to know that to have a feeling on whether this is transmisogynistic or not. But yeah, it is a thorny issue, and I could probably there are a whole series of video essays and so on talking about this, but
like I just know that I always have trouble with expressing exactly my thoughts on it, and having it where it's like come out wrong and I can't identify why, but I know that it's not what I intended.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, oh, this is a hard topic to discuss.
It's a hard topic to discuss.
I know what I'm trying to think, and what I'm thinking isn't maybe what I'm saying, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to sound too defensive. Like, it's like, no, I know I'm saying the wrong thing and I'm just trying to protect myself. It's like, no, it's hard to know sometimes.
100%. And I think that's, it's honestly one of the reasons I wanted to talk. I don't think you can talk about this film without talking about this part of it. You can't have an honest discussion about the film if you're not willing to engage with the criticism of it. But also, I think it is important to discuss, because you're right, it is a difficult thing to talk about.
Because I know that there are people that would get up in arms because we didn't say things the exact right way, even if we meant the exact same message.
Absolutely,
like but that also makes it more difficult because you're trying to step around those
well,
traps.
Yeah. It is, because to acknowledge, none of us are trans women. None of us are trans feminine people.
It's
fair enough.
Yeah, it is things I have been trying to work on since, as I said, since after uni, basically.
Okay, fair enough.
So I don't know exactly the correct label, but I don't think it is 100% that.
Okay, fair enough.
It is a weird, interesting spot.
Oh no, as somebody who is still currently who is currently exploring their own, I get it. My bad.
You'd be forgiven because, gee, I don't even know.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, it is a tricky discussion, but I think it's one that's important to have around this film. And to acknowledge that none of us are going to get it right. We're probably going to say the wrong thing, and that's okay. On that notion, Holly, what do you think about this?
Hey,
Now that we've laid a minefield for you, please tap dance your way through it, Columbia style.
You got to talk about musicals. I think you got off easy.
I do so careful here. I do not believe it was their intent to be transphobic. Right. I can definitely. There are problematic things with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
We are a constantly evolving society.
Yep.
And that definitely shows when you look at films like this. And I think when watching this film, you need to understand it's an older film. And I don't want to say these things were okay back then, but it was more okay to do things like this in film.
No, legit.
I'm sorry, I'm tap dancing here.
No, it's okay. It is okay. Like I said, this is a fucking hell of an issue. There is one other thing I want to talk about with this, which is it's okay that this is not a good person. It's okay that Frank is a very problematic character.
This is my thought watching the movie again. I'm like, this is not a healthy poly relationship here.
No. It's not like, I mean, take the murder aside. Like, let's just throw that completely aside.
I mean, who hasn't done a little murder every now and then?
Yeah, this would be me in a poly relationship.
Right.
This is why I can't.
But
I'm too selfish.
Let's talk about the very dubious consent going on everywhere in this movie. The gaslighting, the manipulation, the emotional abuse, the murder, the power dynamic imbalance between Frank and there's no other way to put it, a 7-hour-old person. Like, it's all horribly problematic and terrible. But that's okay, because the movie is never saying Frank is never justifying anything Frank does as acceptable. I think the movie doesn't pass judgment on Frank's queerness, but I also don't think it forgives his actions. And Frank is one in a very long line of queer villains that we love. Acknowledging that they're problematic, acknowledging that they come from a time when the only way you got queerness into a movie was by making him the villain. And even then, most of the time it was coded and not Frank level explicit. And if you put a queer character into a movie, that character probably had to die, like every queer character in this movie does, with the possible exception of Riff and Magenta. I think that a character like this fits in. There is a fantastic book that I highly recommend that people who are interested in the notion of queerness in film, and queerness specifically in horror. I just checked last night. You can get it off Amazon for like $10 on digitally. It's called Monsters in the Closet, Homosexuality and the Horror Film by Harry Benshoff, and it was originally a thesis. And it talks about the history of queer-coded villains in horror and why they came about the way they did, but also explicitly or specifically why, in a genre where for many years these characters were the bad guys, were the monsters, why horror is so appealing to queer people, and why we take characters like Freddy, who is arguably queer-coded, or Norman Bates. More on that soon enough. Or Frankenfurter, or hell, Billy and Stu in Scream. And you cannot tell me that that is not a queer relationship. I understand it's not explicit in the script. Just ask Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard. whether they're they were playing queer characters or not, because they've said some things at conventions. I adore them both, but there's a reason why we celebrate these characters as queer people, and we reclaim these characters as subversion and how we identify with these othered individuals. There's a lot of that, I think, in Frank. And there is a lot of, I'll be honest, when I looked at Frank when I was in my teens, and frankly, still even now in some ways, there's a lot of, wow, I wish I could be that free. You know, not manipulating, not being manipulative to the point of sexual assault or gaslighting people, or certainly not murdering Meat Loaf.
Yeah, kind of missed the boat on that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I did kind of, yeah. No, I'm sad. But there is a lot in Frank that I think I see as admirable underneath all the evil shit. And you can't deny that he has been an inspirational character to a number of people. Now, that does not discount all the transphobic shit, because I understand why people see it and I understand how it affects people. I just think it needs to be viewed in a certain historical context, much like you guys have both said. Anyway, now that we've over-discussed that topic, let's talk a little bit about the film's camp sensibilities, because we talked a little bit about camp in the last episode for Plan 9. And I argued at that point that Plan 9 is not campy because it doesn't know what it's doing. Here, you cannot deny this film knows exactly what it's doing and it's aiming for it, right? Holly, how do you feel about the way this film uses camp? What works for you and doesn't work for you about it?
Was there camp in this film? I couldn't tell. I'm trying to separate the film from the stage production. There's a lot of camp in stage production,
right?
Because they do things like they made like a giant cardboard car for them to be driving, and then they like slightly lift it when like they hit something.
Right.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what doesn't work for me. Like, there's so much that works, I think, from just how colorful everything is to the scenes, like the motorcycles that are going past them. The opening number with, as we discussed before, all of the characters we're about to see, but out of costume and makeup. And just, and I find this super campy. The Eddie's mutilated corpse under the table. Because it's not trying to be realistic or anything.
Right.
It's very camp. And of course, in the stage production, it's like a skeleton with like a wig, I think, or something. That's what they did.
Yeah. Which was very much what they were expecting in this one.
Right. So I'm trying to think of everything works. I can't think of what doesn't work.
I mean, that's fair.
I love this movie. I love it for the camp and the funness and just the we'll get to the other thing I'm going to say in a minute. But yeah, just everything.
Fair enough.
I love it. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Not being
you're
overly
good.
specific.
I get it. All right, Elle, bring us down to earth.
Yep. Tear us apart, Al.
I mean, the only issue I have with the style is the pacing. It's a little bit up and down.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
I have no problem with how campy it is or otherwise, but it
Fair
is
enough.
just... the tone sets, I think, needed a little bit more of a consistent pace, or like more of a proper curve to like hitting those bigger and bigger set pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Because as it goes, it's like it's ramping up and then cuts down and then get it. It's like if you were on a roller coaster, you would have whiplash.
Yes.
So yeah, I've got no problem with the style as it is. It's just that it kind of dictates a pace that isn't there.
Okay.
It's not far off, but it's
Right.
just that little bit off enough that I noticed it.
Fair
And
enough.
I'm not good at noticing things.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a surprise here. I am fully with Holly on this. I don't think there's a part of the camp that doesn't work for me, because I think I don't like camp when it doesn't know it's camp, because then it's not camp, it's just unintentionally bad. Or B, when it tries and fails. Rocky Horror tries and succeeds. And to be fair, it is hard to try and succeed at being at having this level of artifice and making it good. Many films have tried, and they don't always work. I think this film, the way it knowingly breaks the rules, literally with a wink. Like, I'm talking about when Frank shows up in Sweet Transvestite and is walking through, introducing himself, shaking hands with all the Transylvanians, and then pauses, throws his cup of water at this screen, and literally looks at the screen. The cardinal sin of movie making.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is the one thing you are never supposed to do. And yes, people break the fourth wall now all the time. Thank you, Wade Wilson. But that was a thing that you, in 1975, you 100% did not do. And he looks at this screen, smirks, and literally winks. Like, this movie knows exactly what it's doing. And yeah, just it gets wilder and more over the top by the time we get to the floor show, which might be the greatest drag musical number on committed to film, in a narrative sense, at least. Like, I'm sure that there are filmed drag performances that were greater in their own respect in terms of being real. But this might be the greatest narrative drag performance ever filmed, which is a high bar because we have Tu Wong Fu and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and Birdcage, and any number of other drag oriented films. Like, if you can top, it's one of the cheesiest drag lip sync numbers of all time. It's the one from the start of Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. If you can top that in knowing camp, you've created something truly great. And Rocky Horror does that. And I think the key for me is that while it all is overtly or on its face bad, quote unquote, it's done with such precision and skill in performance, behind the camera, direction, coloring, a production design, etc. You can't deny the craft that's here. I think that's the difference between good camp and bad camp a lot of the time. So yeah, one final question that to talk about, because as we've discussed, this is the film's 50th anniversary, and say it has an impact is a little bit of an understatement. It's a quintessential queer film. It's influenced or appeared in properties across pop culture. It has literally influenced everything from Glee to House of a Thousand Corpses. It has the most enduring following of all time. This is my favorite little detail about this film. This is the only film that Disney has never vaulted once they purchased. Because when they bought 20th Century Fox in 2019, they undid Fox's long-standing agreement that any theater who asked Fox for a print of a movie, Fox would give it. Disney undid that because they had their vault process, but they made the exception for Rocky Horror because, frankly, they were terrified what would happen with the fan base if they tried to put this thing back in the vault.
I mean, the protests would be something to watch.
Like, when you scare the mouse, I feel like you've won in cinema. But, so my question about this is, and I'll start with you, what do you think is this film's most enduring legacy?
I think this is a very easy answer. Inadvertently ruining white people weddings. It's like, Time Warp is a good song. It gets a bit repetitive when literally every single wedding party will play it. Everyone will try to dance and no one can dance. But you hear it every single time.
Okay, but you don't have to dance to do that. You don't have to be able to dance to do the Time Warp. That's why it's so popular.
Yes, but it's only because the Thriller went out of vogue. And
like,
Sweet Caroline is only there for the ba ba ba.
Like, if you give white people a song that tells you how to do its dance, you've got a hit.
Unless you're in Australia, and then it's weirdly popular in country scenes for like Nutbush City Limits.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
No one knows why that took off so much in Australia.
That is weird.
That was at schools across the country. That was your daily exercise.
That's really weird.
You would come into school, they would line everyone up, you would do the Nutbush, and then you'd go to school. So you learnt line dancing as part of your daily education. Eventually they changed it to the Macarena, but that didn't take and they changed it back. It's like, oh, people don't like this enough.
I'm so confused.
Yeah. So that is, I think, Rocky Horror's legacy is influencing white people weddings for years to come.
I mean, okay, yeah, that's fair. Holly, how about you? What do you think is the legacy of this film and the thing that it's most leaving on society?
Honestly, and what I really got from it the first time is just don't be afraid to push boundaries and to express who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I also I love that Disney owns this now.
Dude,
Frankenfurter
Frankenfurter is a Disney fucking princess.
And I want the Disney World meet and greet with Frankenfurter now.
So you got Frankenfurter, you've got the Alien Queen, you have that stripper that Homer tried to hook up with. Who else is weirdly classified?
No, my
oh god. No, the amount of shit that I've seen on Disney Plus, because my Disney and Hulu are linked up. The amount of shit that I've been like, that's a Disney princess now. It's pretty great.
Yeah, my kids can go be in line for Mickey. I'm gonna be in line for Frankenfurter.
Yes, 100%. So for me, I mean, on one hand, I feel like its queerness is an indelible part of its legacy. But I think actually its most enduring legacy, 90% good, 10% less good, is this film, better or worse, revolutionized the nature of fandom.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue we'd have it in some form, but it would be drastically different if we didn't have the start of the Midnight Madness showings and the people showing up in costume and the audience participation of this is key stuff of pop culture fandom. We wouldn't have cosplay at the level that we have it now, I don't think, if Rocky Horror had never happened. I think it had a huge impact on the idea of conventions. And sure, we had Star Trek conventions at that point already, but those were small little things. And we're nothing like what we see today. I think, and then obviously the notion of like cult classic screens of stuff like The Room, which I will never understand people's love for that film, but it is kind of the same way. Some people don't understand my love for this movie, so fair enough. I do think that Rocky Horror, in a large way, changed how fandom was perceived, not only from what fandom started doing and understanding what was possible, but how corporations viewed fandom. And again, there's good and bad of that. But that was the point where I think 20th Century Fox looked at this and said, oh, if we give these fans what they want, we get money. And we get lots of money. And we're not just we don't need to ignore this kind of stuff and just market towards, for lack of a better way to put it, the flyover states, middle America. We can do this weird stuff and take risks on outside of the lines content because there's a fan base for it, and that fan base really comes out. And so I do really think that Rocky Horror changed. It sounds pretentious to say, but I think how we view pop culture, movies, television, entertainment in general, and really almost everything is fundamentally different than it would have been if Rocky Horror had never happened, or if Tom Deegan from Fox hadn't managed to convince people to give it the midnight screens, and the film had just sort of faded into obscurity. That might be overstating a bit, but I really don't think so. So yeah, let's go before we get into our final thoughts. Let's throw some related recommendations out there. Elle, if somebody really liked this, what would you recommend to them?
You know, the only thing like that I can think of off the top of my head that sort of fits, I mean, Monty Python.
Yeah, I can see that.
But like that's just as I was trying to remember the name that came to mind. But Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, I think Young Frankenstein is a really good choice too.
That because it's like this is a little bit of a far cry from anything I've gone with before. So what could I possibly recommend? I don't know.
Fair enough. Holly, how about you? What would you recommend for somebody who really liked this?
So, a little different. Team Star Kid has done a series of musicals based in their own fictional town of, was it Hatchetfield? And they are horror-themed musicals, and they are so much camp, so much fun. So I would recommend The Guy Who Doesn't Like Musicals.
Fair enough.
You can find it on YouTube. It is fantastic, and it is all the camp, and has some great themes with it as well.
Nice. Very cool. So I'm going to go with also a horror musical from the same era as Rocky Horror. This would be Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise, which was released in 1974, so a year before Rocky Horror. It is a rock musical with a very similar sort of campy aesthetic. It's a little bit more modern than like the 50s sensibility that Rocky Horror has. There is still a little bit of 50s-ish in it, but it is definitely more, it leans more into the glam rock style than I think Rocky Horror does. For perspective, it is basically a bizarre kind of semi-parody of Phantom of the Opera. Set in the modern day with a young singer who is taken advantage of by a music producer and then takes on a new persona to terrorize the producer's concert hall. It's very silly. It's very fun. If you want to get the Rocky Horror connection, it even stars Jessica Harper, who played Janet in Shock Treatment, as the Christine-like character. It is distinctly not for everyone. If you did not vibe with Rocky Horror, you will not vibe with this. It has a little bit more of a trippy, I don't think the camp is quite as good as it is in Rocky Horror, but it's definitely hitting that vibe with sort of a slightly weirder twist. But if you do like Rocky Horror, it is at least worth a watch. I liked it quite a bit. So let's give our final thoughts on Rocky Horror. Elle, why don't you tear their hearts out right off the bat, and then we can talk.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I have to go with a 3 surprise saxophones out of 5.
You know, I'm gonna
That's
take
not bad.
That. I will take that shit.
It's just I had my issues with it, but it's like
that's fair.
On the whole, it's like it works.
I thought you were gonna do like 1.5 or something.
I was thinking too.
No,
I will be honest.
I only reserve that for bad stuff.
I feel like you said that on purpose.
Oh yeah.
I'm staring at you through time and space.
Holly, what are your final thoughts on this one?
I mean, amazing, fun.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to it. I mean, not just in October, like year round, really. I still dream of being in the show one day.
Right.
I'm having such a hard time on my rating. Nope. Nope. I am gonna give it 4.5. Tap dancing Columbias out of 5.
Nice. So when I last logged this on Letterboxd, I gave it 4.5 stars. I am revising that somewhat. Are there problematic elements to it? Yes. Have those elements probably not aged well to a certain audience? Yes. Do I think for an incredibly transgressive, outside of the mainstream film that never should have worked in terms of becoming a pop culture success and financial success, do I think that outside of stuff that there was literally not even language for at the time, it is shockingly unproblematic comparatively? Yes. That's not defending that's not saying that the complaints about it aren't valid from that perspective. I just think in terms of the era that it came from, the impact that it's had, the absolute craft involved in making it, the impeccable performances. I would argue that Tim Curry is perhaps giving one of the greatest musical performances of all time, if not the greatest. Basically, everything works for me. So for me, I get why other people might think less of it. This is a 5. This is a 5 damn it Janet's film, Adam, for me.
Wow. I don't usually see you do 5 stars.
No, and they're very rare. I can count on, in like literally every film I've ever rated, I can count maybe 20, 30. This is one of them. Understanding other people's issues with it, they don't hit me the same way, and I think that you cannot argue, even if you think it's problematic, the positive impact that this film has had and how it does exactly what it's going for. It accomplishes perfectly. So yeah, I'm perfect 5 out of 5 for me. So next episode, did you think that the potential discussion about transphobic elements in a film were done? Not so much, because Holly, what are we covering next?
Blair Witch. No, we're covering. I can't do the sound effects. We're covering Psycho. It is a classic, and I'm going to unlock some memories because it's been a long time since I've seen this.
Yep. It is. This is. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it as well, I think, but at least a few years. But yeah, I'm excited to dig into this one because so much to talk about. But that will be next episode. Until then, you can find us at whatever podcatcher you prefer. We are on Blue Sky and Instagram at Final Ghouls Pod.
You can leave a rating and review. Leave a 5-star if you like. Put whatever you like. First person to do so, I will guarantee that I could either send you back in time or to space. You don't get to control where, I do, but I'll make it happen.
Meanwhile, you can find me at JThomasForRollingMania on Blue Sky and Letterboxd and Instagram.
You can find me at shards at kind.social on Mastodon and Shard System on Letterboxd.
And you can find me at Holly Culp on Blue Sky and at Miniature Magic 18 on Instagram.
And you can find us at Final Ghouls Pod on Letterboxd as well. I should point out, because we have that now.
Woo.
But you can also find us all playing role-playing games at Final Show Films on Twitch and YouTube. And Elle, what is our horror book survival guide tip for this episode?
Shockingly, pig's blood does not make a good practical joke.